Yahoo! Prof here, and I was about to shoot you guys another video, but look who showed up and stole my chair. Paisley, I know you want to sit down and watch anime. We have to get this video done for the guys and gals out there. Yeah. Gotta hit that video a day. Yeah. Can I move you? No, you're like, oh, you gotta move the kitchen. It's so horrible. Yeah, look, she's gonna make her spot. Yeah, look at this. That's what she really wants. For those wondering, oh, your shirt's dirty. Yeah, that's cat fur. And you guys also always see me at the end of the day. I wouldn't say I'm like a super clean person necessarily, but I'm also not a super dirty person. So this is what we're here today for. But, and for those of you that saw the title of the video and or know what this packaging looks like, you'll know what that is, and we'll shortly get to it. But let's hit some other things here. I actually picked these up, the Sony End Zone Buds with ingestible battery. You know, when's the last time you saw a product with a battery warning that large? Oh wait, it's on in an entire other side of it as well. Thanks, California. Why did I pick these up? Well, they have this guy right here. That is a USB dongle. It's designed to work on PS5 and PC. This does the LC3 codec, which is supposed to be that's part of Bluetooth LE. I mean, Bluetooth LE has been around for forever, but now there's specifically LE audio. And this uses the LC3 codec. Actually, the downside of this though is that it only uses that codec. And right now, even my Pixel 9 Pro, which is the latest Pixel from Google, still doesn't have it. And when it's going to get it, which I think is within this month, it's only going to be on the beta operating system, not in the regular one. So I didn't buy these to really intend to use them with my phone. That would be nice to be able to do though. Mostly purchased them to use for PC because I don't know if those of you use Bluetooth audio on. Paisley's freaking out because I dropped it. I don't know if those of you try using Bluetooth in Windows, but it kind of sucks. Also using, as much as AirPods are like, I would argue still by far the best fully wireless earbud, they have very poor support basically on anything but Apple. Because they only have AAC and they have a separate, now a lot of Bluetooth stuff has separate headset modes, or handset modes they call them, which is like your cell phone. It does some weird stuff with it though. Also, it's like, is it gonna pick it up when you just take it out of the case, or does it pair to your phone instead? How do you getting it moved over? With this guy, you just plug that in and put those in your ears. These do have ANC. They actually fit my ears quite well, though they're full of earwax, because I'm a earwaxy type person. I have this bud in. I plan on getting if I like them, I plan on getting the Comply tips, because I much prefer those. But as is, those fit actually quite well in my ears. Some people at work have complained about the mic quality, but I've yet to record it and listen to it myself. Should be a heck of a lot better than just using like Google Pixel Buds or AirPods on a PC that use the normal like Bluetooth handset audio. Should be a ton better. They may just be used to the fact that I normally rock a Mod Mic Wireless, which uses aptX, and actually can put the mic bang in front of your face. Yeah. So we'll see. I got 30 days till I have to return these if I end up deciding on it. I would say that the LE audio is probably one of the most restrictive things. The drivers in here are based on their like high-end mainstream. I think it's like the XM4s, I think. Or maybe if they're on XM5s, they have those drivers in them, so they actually sound quite good. The other benefit is they're quite a bit smaller than I remember the XM4s, XM5s sounding, so maybe they don't have as much room in them to necessarily, you know, like deal with. You know, like so they probably don't sound as good. They're not going to make these that are a little bit cheaper sound as good, but apparently they use the same drivers and they use the same tips. That is how I can get the ply tips. So, Sony in-zone buds. I was, for those wondering why, how'd you decide on this? I thought you have a ton of headphones. I do. I actually quite like these though, which are the Pulse Elites. I'm going to wrap this white and black though, because this white halo just looks god-awful when I wear them in a meeting. I don't know. I know they want to make it look like PlayStation-y, but like... Also, I do like that the in-zone line is like PC oriented, so it has a PC app, because those Pulse Elites I cannot update the firmware on my PC. I gotta find somebody at work who's got a PS5 or something. Next up, before we get to this package here, is this right here. This is from was it IM8-bit? Those of you that watched my vinyl and one of my vinyl unboxing videos will know what's in here probably. And that is it was supposed to be the Cuphead show. But what they sent me last time was not this, it was the original one, the soundtrack from the original game, not from a Netflix series. So this is based on the Netflix show. Really like the soundtrack for Cuphead. A lot of them are medleys based on, you know, like classic jazz, show tunes, bunch of other styles. All of it was like the guy that did it was also his first time composing, conducting, etc. He'd help with it, obviously. And that was for the original. Looks like the show might be original score composed and produced by Ego Plum, which is I believe a different person than the original one. But yeah, so this was supposed to come in, and I ordered it, like I pre-ordered it, I believe, and it didn't show up. They sent me the wrong one. Brain farting. Sorry. They sent me the original soundtrack. So that's here now. Apologies in the brain farts. I have not listened to that one yet either, because with most of those they come with a little card on the inside that gives you like a digital download of the album. So on to what you guys are actually here for. You know, one of these times, if that USB-C starts working or the in-zone buds get LC3 audio, I might try the in-zone buds for the mic here instead of what's built into the Pixel 9 Pro. Yeah, the Bluetooth LE and especially the LE audio part, because the LE audio is a new part of Bluetooth LE, but Bluetooth LE has been a thing for ages, right? And like things should have support for this. They might just need like a software or firmware update, theoretically. But yeah, then there were talks about technically AirPods Pro 2 might actually have support, because Apple has said that they have the hardware in it, but then the iPhones don't support it, if I recall correctly. However, the AirPod Pros 2s got certified, specifically I think USB-C version, maybe the normal ones as well, got certified as hearing aids. But the government is requiring hearing aids to have Bluetooth LE support. That way you can use them as earbuds as well, like the other way. So you'd be like, okay, well, if they now are hearing aids, it would make sense if they have Bluetooth LE support, being that hearing aids now have to have it, that are at least sold in the US and certified. That is Paisley. I was wondering, this is what she's doing. Paisley Marie, what are you up to? Are you sharpening? I was running. This is the one that's got to go back from I Am 8-Bit, and I had to hide it behind my work backpack because she did that and that. There you go. Cuphead, Don't Deal with the Devil, selected tunes. It's not the full soundtrack, but there are some new ones on there. Christopher Madigan, I believe, is the one that did the original one of that. Yep. And she's got cardboard deficiency. Do you have cardboard deficiency? Yeah. Are you eating that? I thought so. So we'll see. But yeah, the Bluetooth LE thing is kind of interesting, with the LC3. So like things may have Bluetooth LE support without having LC3 codec support, but that is the cool thing. That is like the, I don't know if it's necessarily higher bandwidth, but it's like a more dedicated thing, because currently when you want to do voice, Bluetooth is using like still the same stuff from Bluetooth like 1 or 2 when that was added, like for your phone, basically in your car. And if those of you that have listened to my me driving home, and have caught the ones I tried recording on the Bluetooth in the car, you'll know why it sounds like butts. I call those midnight midnight rants, midnight drive rants, something like that. Based on me driving home from work at midnight, since I work at second shift. And you'll see why it's such shit quality. It's just weird because this whole Bluetooth Bluetooth LE with LE audio and LC3 codec really seems the same as Wi-Fi 6, or sorry, Wi-Fi 6 gigahertz Wi-Fi, which is Wi-Fi 7. And also, like, technically it's 6E as well, but 6E's been around like a long time and like kind of implemented, kind of not implemented. Everything was like, yeah, everything's got Wi-Fi 7. However, like, hardware was out in Windows, but like AMD UEFIs don't have support for it. That's like the firmware for AMD desktop systems doesn't have support for it. Right? And then like, I know my Pixel, like, up until, even though the hardware was in the Pixels, up until a certain Android version, and not even like big version, it was like until a certain build it wasn't supported. Wasn't until like, I believe it was 22H2 or 23H2 that 6E was supported. Then you need 24H2 if you have Wi-Fi 7. A lot of the early Wi-Fi 7 stuff didn't even ship with firmware that was Wi-Fi 7 capable. Like, the hardware was Wi-Fi 7, but the software wasn't yet. Came later. I think the Ubiquiti stuff, I had to do the initial firmware update in order to enable that. I never used it not that way because nobody would. Like, by the time it actually got out, it had it, but like, now I think, I can't actually tell because I'm currently in the camera here. Maybe I can. Yeah, so we're on 6 gigahertz. Now the Pixel 9 Pro is doing fine. On launch, the Pixel 9 Pro did as bad as the 7 Pro did, and I basically had to give it access to 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. Like I actually segment mine, because of issues that devices have where they'll like fall back to the best connection strength, not the best connection speed. I have two separate 2.4, 5, and 6 gigahertz channels. The Pixel 7 Pro, like its compatibility with Wi-Fi 6A or 6E, sorry, and 7 was so bad that I had to program in the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. So if it because it always lost 6 gigahertz and had to fall back constantly. Now I've been noticing because on the we got a S23 Ultra in the house, or sorry, we're 25 now. S24 Ultra in the house. That actually has true shipped with it actually shipped with Wi-Fi 7 support before Google did. In many ways, it actually had Google features before Google did. It was weird. Like Google heavily partnered with them on that. That thing worked right away immediately. Like it shipped with hardware, shipped with the firmware out of the gate. But it was just weird where like all this hardware's out there for Wi-Fi 7, but like the firmware for the hardware isn't, and even the software, like as in like the operating systems, aren't updated to support it, which is weird. And it really seems like this Bluetooth LE slash, it's really the LE audio part of Bluetooth LE, because Bluetooth LE has been around for a long time, but really hasn't been used. Now they seem to have found a use with it with the LE audio, which is the LC3 codec. But like I have a device and Sony's headphones that came out in 2024 have support of it. Like that launched in, I want to say like November, maybe October, November. And if you get the ones that don't come with the dongle, those will actually do other Bluetooth standards, like the normal ones. Like say, I think it's like XM4, XM5. It's probably XM5 that has the LC3 support. Those have normal Bluetooth support as well, but they launch, and I think the only devices that have LC3 support are Sony phones, which almost no one in at least the US uses, or almost no one, like an inconsequential amount of people. So it's very interesting that, to me at least, that like back to back, we're getting these new standards that hardware has either supported for a significant period of time, or like the physical, like the earbuds are out, or the Wi-Fi cards are out, and even in some cases like the Wi-Fi access points are out. Like the phones have it in there, but you can't actually use it. That's just weird. I don't know what you guys think, but I sure think that's freaking weird. So what did we get in here? And I actually kind of forgot that this got even ordered. I'll give you a hint. Well, it's obviously Tactile turn. For those of you that knew the packaging already, it would have been. So this is a hint. No, it's not the Whataburger, because I got the Whataburger right there. That's from their Blade show. Paisley's stealing one of my slippers. Lovely. All right, let's go. And here is your next hint. Does that help? I've been using the heck out of this Whataburger one. I really like it. Really super glad I got my hands on. However, since the grooves came in, I've used this every day. since. And yes, the stock Uniballs, not even the Muji refills. You don't even need the Mujis. Stock Uniball can go into a side click, no problem. So what do we have here? G10 original. Squeers has the OD green because I thought I was gonna be a huge fan of the OD green and I just wasn't. Then we have the Carrot pen, April Fool's last year. All right, this is kind of my everyday carry G10. Or at least that's how I think of it. And then we have the black blue, which I think looks amazing with the almost grain looking that it has. So what then is in here? Well, white G10 bolt action standard. I have a white Delrin modal. Oh, that looks clean. That looks clean. This is like, I hate to call things like Stormtrooper, but this has real Stormtrooper vibes, if you ask me. You can see they went DLC coded for the clip and bolt there. This one is smooth as. This is natural. Carrot's pretty good too. The blue black got some stick to it comparatively. I don't know if it's because of the grain. This one just seems to have more grain and like that'd be more texture, so maybe it just doesn't go as smoothly. But this guy, woo! Look at that. Okay, so what we do need for this guy though, and we'll see if it works without any modification, is a refill. Which normally I'd pull it out of a Muji pen. Turns out I used a Muji refill for something and later decided to use something else. I think I went from a Muji to a Juice Up or something like that. Or I might have just pulled it out to see if stuff fit. If you guys caught my groove video, I kind of went over there that my preferred pens from Tactile Turn are a standard side click. Yeah, like the groove that came up. That is also why I was so very interested in getting my hands on this Whataburger, because they do not make many. Even the person that I reached out to at Tactile, after Tactile Knife Co. told me to reach out that they had some left. Even the person I was talking to at Tactile Turn didn't know which pen I was talking about. They're like, I don't know if we have any with the orange clip. And I'm like, see, that's what I thought. But here's the screenshot of you telling, well, not you, but your sister company telling me you had some. Like, oh, let me look into that for you. Took a little bit to get that figured out. Yeah, dude, that's like so white it like hurts your eyes a little bit. I want to say it's like not stark white, but it's a little cream. But yeah, so my preferred for side clicks is standard length, standard thickness. Not a slim. Always said I shoot the slim. Okay, that one's really strong. Let's try spinning that spring once. I'm just gonna take the spring and just give her a little twist. When it comes to bolts, thick bolt, which is the G10, just like the Ultim, and I don't know if it's required for the originally the Ultim was done thicker because of the stock they could get and the strength of the Ultim versus metal. So they made it thicker, right? I don't know if the G10 is done that way for the same reason. Oh god, this white one is so clean. I am going to dirty this thing up for sure. Not intentionally, but like it is like too perfect. There you go. For some reason, even though the Muji refills are made by Uniball and they look almost exactly, I use the UMR 83E and I've tried the UMR 83. Those do not work in the bolt. Tactile turn bolts without modification. However, the Muji pen in 0.38, which I think is based on a different Uniball refill than the two that I generally would choose between. I think I have a Uniball 1 refill somewhere around here too, but it's not that. It's like an older Uniball refill it's based on. Fits no problem. I mean, it just fits. But it fits nonetheless. So that is why you're like, oh, if you like that one, why for the bolts do you get the Muji refills? Or you buy the Muji pens for the refills? Because it is cheaper in many cases, guys, to buy the pens, not the refills, for any of the brands, really. Especially when you buy them in bulk. And you can use the springs for other things, or use the pen button, throw your G2 ink. When people need a pen, you can throw your G2 ink you're not using into one of the other bodies and throw it at them and be like, oh, use this. But yeah, that is why I pick up Muji pens, is because I don't have to cut down any refills then. Not that like I'm against it or something, but if there's a refill that gets me, like, I would rather stick in the closest or the best refill that I like that fits without modification, unless it's a pen I really like and I want to use a specific refill with it. I may have to take a hair off this one because it's catching one direction on this bolt here, and with this being a DLC titanium, so I can zoom in even more. Where this is catching is it is going to here and then just barely in one of the two directions catching on that little tip of there. And I could see white already showing up on the DLC bolt in there, right? Now, normally this is no problem, but here's another thing. You can see the end of this is not perfectly flat. There's a little bit of deviation there, so that could be causing it. When you need to take that little off of these, my recommendation, instead of cutting it like I would normally show you, is get yourself a piece of sandpaper like this. This is very 80 grit, doesn't really matter, and just see. Let's give it a shot. Look at that. Okay, so I don't know if you heard the clicking before. You might not have because you're so far from the mic and the heating kicked on. But all I did is I just ran it on this, put it flat on the sanding, and went for like 1 second. You saw me doing it. Maybe not exactly on camera, but you could hear it. But now it doesn't catch. Because what was happening before is just barely as it's going here, it would catch the very tip of that. And obviously the bolt is harder than the G10 is in all the cases. But especially in this case, because it's the DLC coated, I was seeing a white, like a little white line on the top of this bolt right there. And I could hear the little click, and I'm like, ah. And I don't, like, normally you shouldn't have to modify the Muji refill. I did show you a little bit there that it was not cut perfectly straight. And on some of these pens, because they mill them, like they're milling them really, really precisely. Like they're like pieces of art in some cases, you know. But they're milling them with CNC machinery, so they get very precise. I've done breakdowns of how the modal from Keras actually uses a shorter throw than, you know, say something like the Tactile Turn, which might emulate more of a G2 pen. And it actually pre-compresses the spring to be able to do that. You know, in this case, these exactly, like the standard bolts or thick bolts, fit the Muji refills just. So the fact that the end of that refill was not cut perfectly straight meant it was, you know, like how I was saying, like I had to turn that spring too. Sometimes it's a spring, how it's binding up in there. In this case, it's because the top of that refill wasn't flat, so it was sitting like a little bit angled, right? And that's because the tolerance here is so low. If you use the G2, because it is basically this black cap shorter, it's that little black cap shorter basically than a Uniball Euro 110 refill. There isn't that issue. But you also just saw me, you know, like fix that. Like normally it shouldn't happen, but that one was cut a little bit, you know, like not exactly perfectly straight because, you know, they normally would have tolerance in their pen. In this case, the pen is made so accurate and it just fits. It just needed that, look at that, perfect. No hits. Like it's not clipping the end of that little, see, look at that. Does not hit it. Whereas before, you would push it all the way down and it would still clip the very tip of that. And I would be worried on the G10 to break that off because it's not metal. It's not, you know, like this is a much softer, it's not a soft material, but it's a much softer one. So there you go. If you have it where you get a little click, like a in the pen itself when you're using the refill, just flip it over. Instead of chopping it, like normally you have to cut 1 or 2 millimeters off, which is effectively that black cap. But in this, because it's that close, you just take a you know, like a gritty piece of sandpaper. That was 80 grit. It's pretty gritty. Maybe use like a 100 or a 120. That's just what I have over here for roughing stuff. I use that to rough it up before you put on double stick tape or super glue. Because if you have a perfectly smooth surface and you put tape on it, that's an adhesive, just like glue. And how glue works is it goes in little crevices, just like your. That's why super glue works so well on your fingerprints, is because you have all these little micro crevices with your fingerprint, and you glue it together and it stays stuck. So what you do is you take a bit of sandpaper, purposely rough it up to get you some grip, and then the adhesive will work, whether it's tape or glue or etc. You know. That's where an epoxy is different, because the epoxy is actually bonding chemically versus bonding like stickily. Yeah, that's also where you can use something like, if you're using ABS, you can use acetone, and you're literally melting chemically, like you're breaking down the ABS and melting it together. So that's gonna be better than any sort of super glue. The one pen I was going to bring up before I thought about that is like this pen. This is the Switch Click. This uses the Parker refill, but even on their a video announcing it, they said you could use a cut down G2, right? Because you can cut it down basically to that gel right there, or partially use one and cut it down, right? Well, my thought was, hey, if they can use a cut down G2, why can't I use a cut down Uniball? And I did. And if you cut the Uniball all the way down to the last letter on the refill, it works. And I really like this one because it's a little bit short, just a hair shorter than one of the other pens. It's got the new style. I did swap it out to the G2 spring. There you go. So this one's been used a little bit. Damn it. Part of the mechanism fell out because I held it bad. All right. So let's zoom on in here. Beep boop. So this was up here a little bit, but if you look, here is the last letter right there on the side of the UMR 83E refill. And that is right where I chopped it. And there was just enough, like right there is where it started out. So there was even a tiny little about an air gap. So the pen would still work properly. You can see I've used that much since then. You're like, oh, Prof, why haven't you used more? The reason why I haven't used more is because I had to get my pen replaced because they updated. Maybe I'll release that short if you guys want. But I used to take my original switch and go like this, and it would pop. Here, I go like this, and it would pop right back up, and I could sit here and go bing, 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 bing. Now it's got this really nice. So, and they actually told me when they replaced it that they had an updated mechanism here. So, if you have a launch switch, I would highly recommend keeping an eye on it and at least like purposefully playing with it to see if you. That's also why this one's still out here, even though like it's an older pen. It's because I don't know if I trust it. This also reinforces the whole thing with Tactile Turn when they do a new design. Do not buy the first batch of their new design. I do. Wait for my video to come out and find out what issues it has. Then wait for the second batch to come out and fix it. Because they released a second batch that was like a dual tone ano version of that, and obviously those weren't broke because those are like limited edition special ones, But yeah, I hate calling like the white and black combo Stormtrooper, but this thing looks clean. It looks clean. Let me know what you think. I still think because of the white, there's no way that this could be my daily driver if it was like as a G10. That's still gonna be, if I want a thick G10, that's gonna be the carrot, just because orange is my backup color to yellow. It's a very bright pen. If you put it over there, you're not. Here, if you put it over there, you're not gonna miss it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I prefer bolts. I either want the thick bolt like that, or a slim bolt. Standard length for both, because then I can use like Uniball, Euro 110, or compatible refills. If you guys prefer Parker or even G2 Mini, be my guest. The other thing you can do is if you have other pens and you buy those other ones and you want to cut them down, you can just run them in other pens until you run them low enough that you can chop them off. If you want to go through that much trouble, if you purposely want the shorter pens. The slim bolts are really nice because they take a Euro 110 with 0 modification. Look at that tip line up there. Bang on. See? Did I have to modify this guy at all? Hey, look. Yeah, so this right here is the Micarta, right here, Micarta thick bolt, and that needed no modification to work with the Uniball. That's to be expected. I was actually kind of surprised when this white one needed that little bit sanded, but I think it's because, like I showed you, I don't know if you guys can see it on camera or not, but the end of it, instead of being chopped perfectly, pa-chow, it was like just slightly angled. So there was like it was oblong. And that might have made it sit in there incorrectly. Some of these I actually back off the tip because there is an O-ring in there to get it to line up, get the grain to line up better. Can't do it on the white, but you don't really see it on the white because it is so white. Can't do it on the orange if I back it up to where it would want to be, and where they've designed it to be, which is right there. You get this little gap. So if you notice, that right there is where the grain lines up, and that's where they would have milled it with the tip on. But G10, because I'm guessing because of how like the using it and stuff like that, it just gets a bit misaligned, and that's where it is. Now on the blue black, I can back it off just a hair, and there is no gap whatsoever on it, and then it perfectly lines up the grain. Same sort of thing happened on the micarta. I can back it up and line up that grain, and there's no gap there because the O-ring's taking up that slack. However, on like here, for example, too, on the original G10, because this only has to go like a tiny little bit, like that, perfectly lines up. If I were to do that on this white one, which you can't even see, it's like a 3/4 turn here. It'd be that big of a gap if I were to line that grain up. So sometimes you can just back it off a hair, and because that's where it would have been when they milled it, because often they mill these with the tip on. That is how they get, which one would that be here? That is how they get this effect on the tactile turn along this thing, is they actually mill it with the tip on, and they go turn, 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 turn. I don't know how these get slightly aligned, but I've noticed it's the G10s specifically. Now, and you're like, oh, but that one doesn't perfectly line up. There's a little bit of a something like right there. That's because this is Cerakoted. Some of that adds just a hair of extra material on the lip, because they would have milled it perfectly without the Cerakote, and then tried to leave enough room for it to, This one, they actually just made this one of the grooves. So this is a groove, like on a vinyl. Right, you can see them there. They just made the one for the where it attaches one of the grooves, from what I can tell, which is a smart move. If you're already going to have these lines on it, you might as well take advantage of that and hide the tip. Or these, they end up having the tip right after the grip. On this one too, you can actually see where they milled, because this is the Carryology, which still has the tactile turn. Often when they do the knurling, they don't do the tactile turn on here. It seems like Carryology wanted that still. I really like this one. Just a little dash of orange, reminds me a little of CW&T, and then that blends right in. So yeah, thick bolt or slim bolt are my two recommendations. Or get yourself a standard side click. And if you like one of the Signo ones, pick it up, because those can have really cool designs. They're not a ton more. Once you start getting into the real specialty ones, like the numbered pens, even this Blade Show one, depending on where you get it, can be a significant cost over standard. So let me know what you guys think. Would you have picked up, or are you going to be picking up the white G10? I think it has a vibe. I know some of you out there are the whole white and black, or white with black accents, like that's your EDC. If so, is this on your list? And which refill would you put in it? Alright, you guys enjoyed the video, and I'm about to join Gertrude here and get some sleep. Peace.